The auditorium lights felt too bright for someone who had never seen light. Backstage, 17-year-old Alina stood still, her fingers gently tracing the worn wooden edge of an old piano bench. The world around her was a map of sounds and textures. The hum of nervous contestants whispering. The sharp click of high heels against the stage floor. The distant murmur of a crowd that had no idea they were about to witness something unforgettable. Somewhere in the audience, her father sat in the very last row. He wore the only suit he owned, slightly too big, slightly faded, carefully ironed at 4 a.m. before his cleaning shift. His hands were rough from years of scrubbing floors in that very same auditorium. Tonight, those hands trembled, not because he was ashamed, but because he was terrified. Terrified that the world would treat his daughter the way it always had. Alina had been blind since birth. Doctors called it a rare genetic condition. Teachers called it a challenge. Neighbors called it tragic. But her father, Mateo, never called it anything except a gift. She sees differently, he would whisper when she was small and afraid of the dark she could not measure. You hear what others ignore. You feel what others miss. That is power. Still, the world was not gentle. When Alina first said she wanted to audition for the city's biggest televised talent competition, Mateo almost dropped the mop in his hands. On the big stage, he asked softly. Yes, she said with a calm that scared him more than doubt ever could. I want them to hear what I see. She had never seen a stage, never seen lights, never seen an audience stand and clap. But she had heard them, and in her imagination, they were golden. The audition process was brutal. Producers questioned her ability to perform alone. Some judges whispered about pity votes. Other contestants avoided sitting next to her in the waiting room, as if blindness were contagious. One girl had laughed openly. What's she going to do? Stare at the ceiling dramatically? The words had landed like glass. Alina had smiled anyway, because she had learned something long ago. When you cannot see people's faces, you learn to listen to their souls. Backstage, just minutes before her performance, she heard the same girl again. This is embarrassing, the girl muttered to a friend. They're just using her for sympathy. Alina's fingers tightened slightly around her white cane. For a moment, just one small, human moment, doubt crept in. What if they were right? What if she was just a story? What if her voice wasn't enough? The stage manager called her name. Applause followed, polite, uncertain. Mateo leaned forward in his seat. His heart pounded louder than the crowd. Alina walked slowly to center stage, guided only by memory and the soft echo of her footsteps. A grand piano waited. She ran her fingers across the keys, mapping them like constellations. The head judge, a famously stern music producer known for dismantling dreams in seconds, leaned into his microphone. Alina, he said, voice measured, why should we believe you belong here? There was no cruelty in his tone. Just doubt. Alina tilted her head slightly toward the sound of his voice. Because I don't sing what I see, she replied gently. I sing what I survive. The audience shifted. A murmur rolled through the room. She began to play. The first notes were fragile, like glass about to break. Then her voice entered. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. She sang about darkness that wasn't empty, but full. About loneliness that sharpened hearing into something sacred. About a father's hands guiding her across busy streets. About falling down and standing up without ever knowing what the ground looked like. Her voice carried weight. Every syllable felt lived. The room changed. Phones lowered. Whispers stopped. Even the air seemed to listen. Mateo pressed his fist to his mouth. He remembered the nights she cried because children described sunsets she could not picture. He remembered saving coins in a jar to buy her that second-hand keyboard. He remembered cleaning this very stage after midnight while imagining her standing on it. And now she was. Halfway through the song, something unexpected happened. Alina stopped playing. The piano fell silent. A ripple of confusion moved through the audience. Then she continued, a cappella. Her voice, unsupported by instruments, rose like a prayer. Raw, unshielded, trembling yet unbreakable, she sang about being underestimated. About being spoken over. About being treated like a fragile thing instead of a fierce one. And then her voice soared. Not with anger, but with forgiveness. Tears streamed down faces across the auditorium. The stern judge blinked rapidly. When the final note faded, there was a heartbeat of silence so complete it felt sacred. And then the room exploded. Not polite applause, not casual cheering. People stood, strangers hugged. The same girl who had laughed backstage covered her face, sobbing. Mateo didn't clap at first. He couldn't. He was crying too hard. The head judge stood slowly. In his decades-long career, he had witnessed thousands of performances. He leaned forward. "Alina," he said, voice unsteady, "I have never been so grateful to be wrong." The golden confetti did not fall. There was no flashy moment. But something deeper happened. Respect. Unfiltered. Undeniable. Backstage afterward, reporters swarmed her. "How does it feel to inspire millions?" One asked. Alina smiled softly. "I didn't come to inspire," she said. "I came to be heard." Her father found her in the chaos. She recognized him instantly, not by sight, but by the rhythm of his breathing. "Did I do okay?" she whispered. Mateo's voice broke completely. "You did more than okay," he said. "You showed them what strength sounds like." But the story did not end with applause. Overnight, clips of her performance spread across social media. Some praised her talent, others accused the show of exploiting her disability. Online cruelty is louder than most applause. Alina read the comments through audio software. Some words cut deep. "She's average. Take away the blindness and she's nothing special." For the first time since the performance, doubt returned. Was her voice powerful, or was it her story that moved people? Mateo found her sitting quietly at the kitchen table days later. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply placed her hands over his heart. "Listen," he said. She did. The steady rhythm beneath her fingertips grounded her. "You hear that?" he continued. "That beat doesn't care about opinions. It just keeps going. That's what you do." She inhaled slowly. Then she did something bold. Instead of hiding, she announced a live concert. No television, no dramatic edits, just her voice and a piano in the same auditorium where people once doubted her. Tickets sold out in 2 hours. On the night of the concert, Mateo stood backstage this time, not as a janitor, but as a father. Alina walked out again. No competition, no judges, just music. She sang new songs, about resilience, about criticism, about turning noise into harmony. Midway through the show, she paused. "I used to think blindness was my obstacle," she told the audience. "But I've realized something. The real blindness is when people refuse to see potential." Thunderous applause answered her. In the front row, the girl who once mocked her sat quietly, tears flowing freely. After the final song, the audience did not just stand. They remained standing. 4 minutes, not out of obligation, but out of gratitude. That night, as the auditorium emptied, Mateo walked onto the stage once more. He expected to feel small. Instead, he felt something else. Pride so large it erased years of exhaustion. Alina reached for his hand. "Papa," she said softly, "what does it look like?" He swallowed emotion. "It looks like hope," he whispered. And for the first time, she believed that maybe she didn't need to see it to know it was there. Because sometimes, the most powerful light is the one you carry inside.